because you are a owner of a Brill bus, what trolley do you prefer operating? A Brill style or a PCC style?
Honestly, 6 there is my favorite car in the collection. That thing is just absolute zen to operate. The game was being changed starting in the 30s with revolutionizing the interurban car with the Bullet. It took even more work, 7 years worth of research and almost a subscription-style funding arrangement from all the different executives of transit companies. Of course, it's important to remember transit companies were privately held enterprises at the time. They had stockholders. They issued glossy stockholder reports. They made a profit running passenger service for the public. They were not the publicly funded agencies of today. Taxpayer money was not a consideration. And that's why you had a group pulled together called the Electric Railway President's Conference Committee, using mostly people who had zero experience designing a trolley car, because they wanted to throw the traditional trolley embodied by 355 out because it was not competing well against the automobile. By this point, we'd moved on from the Model T. The Model A Ford was on the market, as well as everything else from that same era, and the selection was there. People were taking the automobile if the transit service wasn't really good. So they truly tried to reinvent the trolley or die trying. And this is the final product that they came up with. Let me put some power in this car. This is a 1946 model PCC car, as they abbreviated the design committee's name to. They tried to come up with classy marketing names, nothing stuck. They were the PCC car. And this one is the post-war revision, kind of the ultimate realization of the design. Being a 1946 model, of course, it came into service the year after World War II. Still at work until the month before 9/11. It was originally built as a Twin Cities rapid transit car in Minneapolis, and it got sold from there after just 7 years because, like many systems, the street railway was in decline. They had people in control of the company that did not want streetcars. They wanted to switch to buses. They were convinced that that was the modern way to go. And so they got rid of the system as quickly as they could. Too quickly, actually. We're getting into bean counting that I am not good at, but somehow they had not fully depreciated the value of their new PCC cars, which was considered defrauding the shareholders. And so in their rush to abandon the system, and this somewhat plays into the General Motors streetcar conspiracy, which is a mix of truth and fiction that's never easy to sort out.
Right.
But yes, in this case, people went to jail for selling these cheap. Public Service Coordinated Transport of New Jersey were like, yeah, but we're still getting our 30 PCCs that are practically new, right? Right? So yes, these showed up this showed up along with 29 others. Very old electric railway shops in New Jersey. I think this was their last overhaul project before the shops went entirely to bus, because the rest of New Jersey's streetcar network was disappearing as well. Except for the bed of the Morris Canal as it runs through Newark. It's worth mentioning that the kind of experiments that they did to come up with the specifications for this car. Again, it took them 7 years. They worked out of a field laboratory in New York City, doing stuff like, can you read a newspaper comfortably in every seat in the car? Which is why there's so darn many of these bullseye lights scattered around the car. They got some woman, who I hope they paid well, to stand in high heels on a little, I don't know whether it was a rail cart or if it was just like a platform. And they pushed her back and forth at different rates of acceleration and asked her if she was standing comfortably. And they came up with 4.75 miles per hour per second or something acceleration was the most that a standing passenger could take. And so this car will accelerate at exactly 4.5 miles per hour per second.
That's faster than the modern light rail. All the vehicles I dealt with are 3. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
Now, of course, that's on the specification sheet. Everything is running perfectly.
Of course.
But yeah, these things will get up and go. I can best describe it as pure electromechanical bliss. It is really incredible what they did with not a single computer in this whole thing. Your pedal controls at the front are more or less what you could expect from a car, except instead of a clutch, you have what's essentially a dead man pedal that does a few extra handy things.
Okay.
The power pedal will choose from 99 different acceleration rates automatically based on pedal input, how fast the car is moving, the load on the motors, so on like that. Brake pedal is dynamic braking down to 3/4 of a mile per hour. I don't know if BNSF's diesels could dynamic brake down that low, but I'm guessing not.
No, they tell you to switch to air at about 8.
Oh boy, never realized that.
Yes.
And there's spring-applied, electrically released brakes to bring the car to a final stop.
So you have the same problem that you do in the Galloping Goose, where you just sit there and go, what do I do with my hands?
More or less, yeah. Your hands are just door control. We actually have a horn and a gong on this thing. There's a little bus horn on it, which is kind of fun. What do you do with your hands became a question that helped actually eliminate the conductor's job on a streetcar. Because now that the motorman, as he was called, had his hands free, they renamed him the operator, and now he did both jobs. Because you can make change while you're rolling down the street. There may have been problems here and there with that.
Are all these like a bunch of switches? Are they buttons with springs on them?
Yeah, these are all, and this works.
We're trapped! Oh no! Ding ding! Ding ding!
It's one of those things that's the difference between in-service and in-museum service.
Right.
These switches over here are 600-volt circuits. These are 32. That
Okay.
battery I turned on is a 32-volt bank. And this here is the motor generator set, which is basically a DC to DC converter, 600 to 32. So these switches, we can toggle on and off all day long. These ones, including the light switch, which is illuminating half the bullseye lights through the car, they are 600-volt switches. They nominally can break a 600-volt circuit in that little toggle switch. However, we had one set a fire in our operator's lap one time.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So we do not touch those 600-volt circuits.
That's how you weld.
Yes. Yeah, you would have used those all the time in service, but you had a shop force to replace an entire gang switch here
It didn't matter.
if you melted one. We do not. We have a few spares. We don't want to use our few spares.
Yes.
How do you feel about becoming a foster parent?
Experience the feeling. Touch of life.
So one final question I should answer is, why did we put up ad cards from San Francisco in here? Well, the fact is, we happen to be standing in Newark number 6. If we were in 10 of its other sister cars right now, we would be rolling down Market Street in San Francisco on our way to the waterfront.
Oh,
To
that's
Fisherman's
where they went?
Wharf.
Oh.
10 of the ex-Newark cars are now running in San Francisco. Probably most of them, well, now with time zones, most of them are probably still in the barn. They're starting to pull out. But they're heading out to another day of transit service, just like they did in Minneapolis, just like they did in Newark. They are still at work with short breaks for overhauls between their gigs. They just keep going.
That's awesome.
The only thing wrong with a PCC car in today's transit environment is ADA accessibility, which San Francisco has found their way around with ramps and removing certain stanchions, and air conditioning, which you don't care about in San Francisco. But yeah, there are so many cities that still run PCC cars. Of course, some run hot-rodded PCCs, like Philadelphia does. But Boston still has World War II era built cars running shuttle service on a line where the bridges are too light for subway cars.
That's great.
They keep rebuilding them, but they are nominally still 1942 models, I think it is.
That's kind of incredible.
And the number of places, either museums running actual transit service, like our friends at Pennsylvania Trolley Museum do for the Washington County Fair every year, these things really hold up and truly earn the title of probably the world's best streetcar design. And they will go up and fight the younger streetcars for that title as well.
That's cool.
I have yet to get in a race with the San Diego 1982 U2 class LRV, but I could beat it. Jersey.
Oh, we're making Jersey release it?
Great. Your pole is in the hook on the roof, so stand. Yes, you stand in the gauge for this.
Yeah.
Hook opens to the right, so down and to the right a bit. Down more.
Down more.
Down more.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. And now, hand over hand, keeping some extra rope from the retriever. Got the rope out of it. And hand over hand, raise it up into the air. Pause when the pole is a couple inches under the wire. You got about 4 inches to go up yet. So let it out some.
Ding ding.
There we go. Takes power in both directions. We're good. Yesterday thing I was mentioning was where the brakes lagged in going off.
Yeah.
So every time I would go off the brake pedal onto the power pedal, buzzer down here would go off in my ear. These things were meant to be run every day. They develop problems when they sit.
Okay.
So she got good exercise yesterday. She's in a good mood, got that serotonin flowing. Or in this case, the 600 volts through the contactors that when they get corroded do stupid stuff.
The worst thing for one of these things, railroad equipment in general, is to sit.
Absolutely.
The second worst thing is to run it. Oh, that's whack.
What?
The wheels.
They're cushion wheels and they've got jumpers between the interior and the exterior so that they can actually get the negative return to flow out. Yeah.
Yeah, they call it a Bochum 84 wheel after the town in Germany where they're manufactured. PCCs did not have, this was an NJ Transit experiment. Standard PCC wheel over there, St. Louis Car Company super resilient wheel.
Cool.
Rubber sandwich in the middle of...
Yeah, that's actually, light rail vehicles today still use that tech.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is this the O-Poop mag brake?
Yep.
Yeah, we also still have that big skate.
Uh-huh.
When you hit the mushroom, the skate come down and then you stop very quickly. And everyone falls over and it's a bad time.
Yep.
Well, we should highball.
Yes, absolutely.
Experienced steam engineer runs electric.
We're not going to move the reverse key because that is definitely a thing.
Okay.
Right foot over your brake pedal.
Okay.
It will pop up when you put down the safety pedal. So
Okay.
go ahead and put that down. Signal your intentions.
Horn.
Yep, horn and gong on the left, whichever you prefer.
Okay.
And now you let that up and take power. And we are on one of the smoothest sections of railroad, so put that down and then put it to the floor.
All right. Well, this is fun.
You can really feel this thing's power. as
No
it takes
kidding.
off.
It's effortless.
Are you giving her all she's got yet?
I'm giving her all she's got.
Okay, about here you go to coast.
Go to coast.
You'll hunt around a little bit. You cover the brake as you're
Yep.
coasting.
Oh, goodness.
This is such a.
Great speed through here.
This is as strange as the goose is, where you just. What do I do? I've got a roller coaster bar to hang on
Hold
to.
on. You can take power again if you like.
All right.
We'll be slowing down to about a walk pace through the switches, but she slows down plenty quick.
All right.
And again, brake pedal touchy. so
Very
feel it out a
touchy.
little bit.
Feel it out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dynamic brakes are plenty strong.
Does it work just like a car brake pedal?
No. Dynamic brake.
I mean, feeling-wise, it's a touchy car brake pedal, but functionally it works a little.
It doesn't give you that feedback though.
Right.
Yeah, it's just all of a sudden you're slowing down super hard.
Yep.
I mean, because the other one was a lot different where you're using air brakes.
Yeah.
So our stopping point for splitting into thirds again will be it's several poles out the extension. So
Okay.
go ahead through the spring switch and give her full pedal acceleration again to get up the hill.
Right on.
Through the switch.
Once you're through the switch, covering the brake. This is so wrong. That's so wrong. That's so wrong. That's okay. We're through the switch. It's fine.
I heard one clack there, and it probably clacked again while we were left.
All right.
Go ahead, give it all the beans.
That is so wrong. The beans. Yes.
All right, bring it to a stop once our rear end passes that pole on the right.
All right.
That should split the line up pretty evenly.
Somewhere in there.
That's about perfect.
Look at that. We'll take it. All right. So you
Well
said
done,
about
sir.
halfway-ish.
And you start to let the safety pedal up.
Okay.
And if the brake pedal stays down, which it did, you nailed Mark on your first try.
I'll take it.
done,
Beginner's
sir.
luck. That's entirely new. I've never done anything like that. It's
rolling into what's parked behind.
It's sort of like the goose in that you've got foot pedals to deal with and you don't know what to do with your hands. But the feeling of acceleration is so unlike anything I've ever had. The feeling of braking is so unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's its own unique thing. It's really cool. It's such a bizarre brake feeling because the pedal's very smooth and very easy to press, and then all of a sudden you just engage a contactor and dynamic braking happens, and then you're... Yeah. This technical term.
The feedback is so different from what imagine a locomotive dynamic brake is.
Yes. But it's a very different sensation because you don't have the kinematic feedback of a brake pedal like you do with a car, right? Like when you go into dynos in a diesel locomotive, it's entirely different feedback because you're grabbing a stick with the hand, whereas this is like, oh, it's a car and I'm pressing a pedal and it's like a car or a bus or a truck, and then it doesn't do anything like you'd expect it to do. It's cool.
Also, because of children tampering with things, quite a few street railways went to high-mounted trolley rope catchers, which involves extra steps. In our tow bar pocket, we also have a broom handle with a piece of wire on it. And that is how you get this trolley pole down.
Oh no! Oh. This
Because
is yes.
normally this would be down here on a standard PCC car. But because kids would be grabbing the rope, throwing it off the wire, making big sparks, and making the motormen upset,
Yes.
and making the motormen say new vocabulary words that they didn't learn in school, we instead have this up here on Newark PCCs, Johnstown PCCs, a bunch of Pittsburgh ones. It wasn't just a few. It was a common option. So yes, you have to grab that. If you're short, you have to take a lot of rope out, try and pull it down. Meanwhile, the catcher is trying to reel all the rope back in and undo all your hard work. Luckily for me, I can usually get it in one grab.
Nice.
And then someone was kind enough to go to a hardware store, get a hook, screw a hook onto the car, and then put so many little coats of paint over it, it looks as if it was welded.
Yes. Beautiful. The funny thing about this setup is like, there's so much stuff that is so similar but so different about this and steam railroading or diesel railroading or whatever, but the little similarities are funny. On our little steam engines, we have to have a very similar looking hook on a stick to grab the water tank spout, because the big engines were so much taller that they would hit the water tank spout chain, so we had to shorten it so you have the hook and the tender. You go fish with the hook to get the water tank spout down. And then that's how you actually pull it down.
This is one of the prettiest features of the car. They're messy on 6 because they're the originals she came with, but those cat's eye stoplights are cool. Next level cool. Newark made them blink because they were on private right-of-way as a subway. So if the car was stopped, you wanted to have
make it out
your attention.
Yeah.
So that's a unique feature of the Newark cars. All the support we received from both retirees and current employees of the Newark City Subway, we've gotten quite the nice supply of spare parts for this thing. The folks who went to pick this up from the NJ Transit shop threw extra seat upholstery into, we actually have just fabric that they had laying around of that lovely, very 80s bus upholstery, which is what that is. That was from an order of MCI motor coaches. You have whole seat cushions as spares. You take out a bad one, you send it to an upholstery shop with the fabric, and you get a good one back. Meanwhile, the car still has a full set, so yeah, we have a lot to be thankful for.
This is like one of those things in preservation that a lot of people don't realize, because this is something that was so pedestrian and so just daily routine, didn't seem important to somebody in Newark back in the day, right?
Yep.
Well, just like many of these artifacts that we have all across railroading. Oh, this is just my everyday thing. It's what I take to work. Who cares? It's the grungy bus. It's the grungy streetcar. It's the whatever that you got used to.
Yep.
But this is important and was a way of life for many people, and the fact that it's preserved and there were people that knew and cared to save those pieces That's what makes preservation possible.
It is.
It's so cool to hear that you guys have all that stuff.
Now, it extends to records as well. We have the service history for both cars, and we have people that, we have a problem with it, and somebody in maintenance here will call up the old shop head and be like, did you ever run into this? Oh, yeah, are you kidding? Absolutely, all the time.
That's how you unlock new stories.
Yes. You never get 100% completion on it, but you get the complete story as much as you ever will of getting the old head's knowledge downloaded to brains that'll keep it around long.
Yes.
Behind the awkward seat panel is a little box with a familiar logo on it. Good old General Electric. And what we're going to be doing is just putting the key in there, and you have a 4-point controller. Brake, emergency brake, coast, and power. With extra steps. This being a shop controller, it likes to allow you to creep the car along slowly. So if I just take power and then go back to coast, you will all want to be holding on, because the car will throw itself into dynamics pretty hard. Because it's thinking that you're trying to cuddle this car up to another car in a barn or something to park it. If you accelerate more, then it will let you coast. So there's a rhythm to this. It's like 2 seconds power, 2 seconds coast, 2 seconds power, 2 seconds coast. And that's how you move slowly with the backup controller. Anything else, it's a very jerky ride. Then you can coast once you get above a certain speed. Not certain what the speed is. It probably varies a little bit depending on the condition of the contactors. So Midland, go ahead and give us 3 beeps. And I'll show you how this all works. Actually, I'll do it wrong first so that you see what I'm talking about. It throws itself into dynamics. And also, it makes a little light show as you work it.
Oh my god!
So, on to power. And now coast. Thud.
Oh my god!
That was dynamic braking. That was not mechanical. That was just motors working backwards.
Yeah, front.
That's the motor.
It makes it.
Alright.
The light show is killing me.
And
You made welders.
boom.
It's like a big toy. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's gonna have to wait. So this is how it works when you're used to it.
Oh, I see. Okay. I like the lights. The lights. Power's taken. The lights start off. My car does that when I'm to stall.
And then you're off to the races, and now we can actually coast. And then this is the breaking point.
Okay.
Yep, it's not subtle. This is a shop crew controller. This is not a passenger controller.
Well, Brill, this has all been absolutely wonderful. Is there anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
The story I'd like to put out to YouTube is that volunteer for your museums. It builds resume, it gets you jobs, and it makes you connections.
Well, thank you so much for showing us the trolleys, teaching us the history, letting us experience what it's actually like to operate these things. I mean, that's something that was new for me and new for the group here. And getting to hear it from somebody who obviously cares and knows the history is always such a huge inspiration and good feeling. So
for sure.
This has been a wonderful morning. And thank you so much for showing us everything.
You are very welcome.